Now, the video you're watching right now is not from a Donald Trump rally. This video is from Greenland. The leaders there are gathering their people, and a slogan is being raised. Make America go away. They've given MAGA a new meaning. Not make America great again, but make America go away. As you know, Greenland is the largest island in the world. Donald Trump has become completely obsessed with the idea that Greenland should become part of the USA. Greenland's population is around 50 to 60,000, and a very strong anti-American sentiment has emerged there. People are coming out on the streets. I want to show you these videos. Watch carefully. This is the US Embassy in Greenland. You can see the US consulate here. Now you might be thinking, wait, why is the embassy so small? Why are these tiny houses? That's because Greenland isn't a highly industrialized or large country. It's essentially a small island under Denmark. Outside the US Embassy, people are protesting with Greenland's flag. Many protesters are holding banners that say, Greenland is not for sale. They're saying, we are not for sale. Even if Trump throws trillions of dollars at us, we will remain residents of Greenland. This flag is our identity. I was watching several American journalists talking about this. For example, Caitlin, a US journalist from the New York Times, said that anti-American protests in Greenland have grown so intense that when she went to the protest site, demonstrators recognized her accent. Americans have a distinct accent, and she was told, you are not welcome here, get out. But someone still has to tell these stories to the US audience. Right now, American journalists are finding it extremely difficult to report from there because the anti-American sentiment is that strong. This is the reason why French, German, and UK soldiers are being deployed in Greenland. In reality, the UK and Germany are sending only limited troops. France, primarily, is deploying its military to Greenland to protect the island from the USA. This has made Donald Trump so angry that he has started imposing tariffs on friendly NATO countries, because they are trying to protect Greenland. A few days ago, several Western media outlets published articles asking, is Donald Trump mentally okay? Are his actions even rational? Because his steps are literally making Russia and China look justified in what they're doing in Taiwan and Ukraine. Trump is talking about doing the exact same thing in Greenland. In response to France and other European countries trying to protect Greenland, Trump has issued threats. He has said that countries blocking his plans will face 10% tariffs, which will increase further. He said clearly, if his plans are blocked and Greenland does not become part of the USA by June 1, 2026, tariffs will be increased further. Look at the language being used. This tariff will be due and payable until such time as a deal is reached for a complete and total purchase of Greenland. First, a 25% tariff was imposed on Europe. Then he says, until I get Greenland, I will keep adding this 25% additional tariff. Other existing tariffs on individual countries will remain in place. Trump's policy of suddenly saying, now you will pay tariffs, is unstable and unpredictable. This is not how the world works. Trump argues that Greenland has enormous natural resources that the US needs. He also claims Greenland is critical for building a massive security dome, a shield that would protect the US from China and Russia. Now again, not a single serious defense analyst confirms this. This is all hot air. He claims hundreds of billions of dollars are being spent on security programs related to this dome, including the possible protection of Canada, and that this complex system can only work at maximum efficiency if Greenland is included. He's saying that to protect all of North America, even Canada, he must have Greenland. But all of this could easily be done under NATO. The US does not need to occupy Greenland to do any of this. What I'm seeing today in the US is disturbing. Many American influencers are openly saying, we will occupy Greenland. Greenland is ours. Who will stop us? This sentiment, who will stop us, is extremely strong in the US, a country with a $1.5 trillion defense budget, larger than the GDP of many nations, a country that can pick up a foreign president like Venezuela's without consequences. Who would stop them? There is almost a desire in the US to teach the entire world who the boss is. Throughout Trump's presidency, we've repeatedly seen images, videos, and statements reminding the world that the US is the center of power and can do whatever it wants. You may remember in 2025 when Trump summoned European leaders and seated them in a humiliating manner. European journalists called it degrading. Perhaps if even one European leader had stood up and said, this is not how prime ministers and presidents are seated. Bring a round table. Treat everyone with dignity. Maybe this wouldn't be the situation today. When you tolerate disrespect, you teach the other side that you'll tolerate more of it in the future. And that's where Europe made its mistake. What the US is doing today defies logic. Denmark is a NATO member. Under NATO, the US can deploy troops anywhere in Europe. Under Joe Biden, 15,000 US soldiers were deployed in Greenland, and the US had multiple military bases across the island. Under Trump, they strategically withdrew troops and shut down bases first. This isn't my claim. Greenland's MPs are saying this openly. There was a defense agreement between the US and Denmark giving America full and exclusive military access to Greenland. Trump's threats to occupy Greenland have no basis. First, the US reduced its presence. Then it told its own people, the US military isn't there. We need to occupy Greenland. The American public is being misled. Voters are being told that Greenland must be invaded and annexed to increase military presence. They're being made to believe that even if conflict happens, even if the US military is used, it's in America's interest. At least now, European countries are showing some spine. If they had done this earlier, things wouldn't have reached this point. Denmark, Finland, France, Germany, and Norway are openly telling the US they will not be intimidated by tariffs. They are planning joint military exercises called Arctic Endurance and have stated full solidarity with Denmark and the people of Greenland. They say they are ready for dialogue based on sovereignty and territorial integrity, and that tariff threats undermine transatlantic relations and risk a dangerous downward spiral. Think about it. If NATO breaks over this issue, it would be historic. History books would say NATO collapsed because of Greenland. Europe would be completely transformed. On one side, pressure from Russia, on the other, pressure from the US. Europe would be forced to stand united, reshaping the continent for centuries. They've said they will remain united and committed to sovereignty. Major events are coming. We'll see whether one day Trump suddenly orders the US military to occupy Greenland by force. If that happens, it could become one of the biggest events of the 21st century. This can very much happen. Now, Greenland's MPs are already appealing to India for a decisive stand. Which side do you personally support? USA, NATO, or neutrality? Share your thoughts in the comments. I want to know what you think. See you in